Oh, hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9, the news and talk Bloomington normal. Man, we had so much fun in the 6 o'clock hour. A little bit of hiccups. I know I had the best of at the beginning of the 6 o'clock hour, but we are back on the air. And you can text me at 309-451-9299. Big shout out to Chris Murphy. I love his sports. Number one. Number two, he is the best operations manager we have here at Cities 92.9. So show your love. He gets your text 309-451-9299. Say, welcome back, Chris Murphy, because he was also in Florida for a couple of days, folks, but he was doing the sports from Florida, and he was making sure that you had up-to-date sports, even from Florida. So we're going to get into some local news now. We were talking a little bit about Kamala Harris and her run for governor. She did not rule out a run for governor, which was shocking. Not too shocking, because I know that this woman loves attention, okay? But it doesn't matter how much her policies have harmed or how much harmed her constituents, either as her time as the DA in California or her time as VP. Remember, she was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act and the American Rescue Plan Act, which caused massive inflation. It doesn't matter how much destruction her policies cause. Her political career, for some odd reason, just keeps getting stronger. And Donald Trump, during the campaign trail in October, had also said the same thing I'm saying, where he's saying, yeah, for some odd reason, she just manages to survive. And he implied, he goes, it's probably her. It has something to do with her relationships. Wink, wink, wink. But yeah, I don't know why she has ever earned titles in her life. She's never really earned them. But she has this weird, unique ability to get to the top, even despite not having the credentials. So that being said, pray for the people of California. I don't want them to suffer under Kamala Harris's rule, despite what I think of their politics. I don't think anybody deserves Kamala Harris as their governor. Most likely, the low information voter base, they're going to be voting her in, and they're beholden to this DEI ideology, the diversity, equity, and inclusion ideology that says, oh, no matter what your experience, no matter what your qualifications are, we're going to put you in there because you're a woman of color. Okay. She always manages to have a shot at something she clearly does not deserve. And I don't know what that is about Kamala Harris, but she just manages to get stronger politically. The more people prove that she shouldn't have this title, the more people prove that she doesn't have the qualifications. All right, let's get into some local things. I do want to talk about former McLean County Board candidate urging government employees to come forward ahead of an Illinois State Board of Elections hearing concerning an ethics complaint. An ethics complaint where officials allegedly solicited donations for a PAC that was established in support of seeking the elimination of this position of county auditor. Okay, we're going to talk about that story, but also there's another person, Dean Fletcher. He is a resident, a McLean County resident and taxpayer. He has, made an official complaint via email with the Illinois State Board of Elections, but also the state's attorney. He's talked with or has emailed the Regional Office of Education, Regional Office District 17. Okay, and that encompasses like DeWitt counties, Livingston County, I believe, McLean County, multiple counties, the Regional Office of Education. Now, in Illinois, the enforcement responsibility of a specific line in the election code, which says that public funds cannot be used to promote or oppose a referendum or a candidate for public office, is unknown to Illinois residents. We don't know who the responsibility falls on exactly when it comes to this election code. And it seems like, our authorities are not cracking down on this sort of behavior, at least in central Illinois, where you have multiple government entities that have used, allegedly public funds, or the appearance, it looks like they're using public funds to promote referendums, specific referendums. Now, this has happened at the county level. It's happened in multiple school districts at this point with the sales tax, and we're going to get to that. But I mean, these are two different stories, but they're kind of the same in a sense, because it's the same topic. We're talking about the same line of election code here. So McLean County Board candidate, a former candidate, he lost in the 2024 November election. He's urging government employees who participated in this alleged action where they gave donation money to Cassie Taylor, the county administrator, and the now chairman of the county board, Lizzie Johnson. Then she was the vice chair when these alleged actions took place, where they solicited donations for a PAC seeking to eliminate the position of county auditor. Okay, you guys know the story. A lot of people have been heated about this. Now, earlier last week, I think we talked about how the hearing was supposed to be scheduled for February 12th. Originally, that is true, but it's been postponed by a lawyer, Keith Hunt. Okay, so this was a hearing for Elizabeth Johnson where she's named as a respondent in the complaint. And Chad Burke, of course, is lodging the complaint. He says his largest piece of evidence is this admission email from a former lead civil attorney in the McLean County State's Attorney's Office, Trevor Sierra. We know that email. In the email, he explained his involvement in the solicitation activities where he donated money, where he was asked by Cassie Taylor, Lizzie Johnson to call others and solicit donations on the PAC's behalf. And on their behalf, being the PAC leaders, I mean, they look like they're the PAC leaders because they're going around soliciting these donations. We're shy of our goal. We have to meet our goal, things like that. And there were instances laid out where these solicitation attempts had taken place. And this is like the admission email from Trevor Sierra. And that is the largest piece of evidence that Chad Burke has in this hearing that he's going to be having, not on February 12th, but it's been postponed now to March 12th. So Lizzie Johnson's representation, the lawyer here, Keith Hunt, will be representing, I guess, the county vice chair, Elizabeth Johnson, who has been accused of desoliciting activities, this donation, trying to get donations to eliminate the county auditor referendum. You guys remember that referendum? Most of you voted no, did not pass the elimination of the county auditor position, but there were donation attempts, or people were, trying to solicit donations allegedly from individuals. And there's text messages between Trevor Sierra where he says, look, these were illegally obtained donations. I'm requesting a refund. I want my $200 back. And then Lizzie Johnson texts back, sure, we'll give you a refund, essentially. So that's summing up those text messages. Johnson is a respondent in the Illinois State Board of Elections complaint, and Hunt has made a motion to dismiss the complaint. Now, here's what Hunt says in the motion to dismiss. There's nothing in the Illinois Elections Code that empowers the State Board of Elections to enforce McLean County ordinances, and such, the State Board of Election lacks jurisdiction over this matter. Now, this has happened before where they, in the Illinois State Board of Elections hearing officer ruled in the Champaign case. So in the Champaign County, there were billboards. They spent thousands upon thousands of dollars. I think it was like over $60,000 on advertising, essentially on billboards for a referendum. They were using government dollars to do that. And they dismissed, his name is John Bembenek. They dismissed his case for this lack of jurisdiction that the Illinois State Board of Elections has over this, elections code or whatever. Now, he's saying here, the attorney is saying that, they don't have the ability to enforce McLean County ordinances. So he's talking about the ethics ordinance. That's not, from what I understand, what the complaint is about. The complaint is about the violation of the State Board of Elections charter and the state code, the state election code. So that is within the State Board of Elections purview, at least the charter. Now the code, because this is criminal, yes, it is a misdemeanor B, I think it's called. It's classified as misdemeanor B, and actually you can serve in jail time for doing something like this. Because it's criminal, I don't believe that the Illinois State Board of Elections has, the jurisdiction to rule on, if they violated this law. That has to be through the enforcement. So a complaint has to be made, from what Matt Dietrich with the Illinois State Board of Elections told me. That complaint has to be filed with the Illinois Attorney General, and the Illinois Attorney General has to conduct an investigation. And then the Illinois, or like your state's attorney, So that would be Erica Reynolds, which is kind of, you don't know. I don't know if that would be possible, considering Erica Reynolds is named in the email that Trevor Sierra wrote. I don't know if she'd be able to take on this case. He's saying he's trying to get it dismissed because of lack of jurisdiction. But what he says here is because they don't have the ability to enforce the McLean County ordinances. Well, that's not what Chad is doing here. He's trying to say that it's actually in violation of the State Board of Elections charter and the state code or the state law that prohibits government entities from using public funds to promote or advocate for either candidates or ballot initiatives. Okay, so Burke suggested that it's possible Sierra was terminated from his position due to his voiced opposition, reached out to Trevor Sierra. He provided no comment as to why he was fired or terminated and why the nature of his employment ending at the office. But there were 3 solicitation attempts laid out in this email from Trevor Sierra. And in these, it was September 1st, September 5th, September 10th, and then there's multiple, and then the third attempt was September 19th. It all took place September 5th, 10th, and 19th, and everything started to take place, I guess, on September 3rd. So there were 3 attempts of collecting funds. And, then he was let go shortly after the September 19th attempt. Chad Burke says that's interesting. Not sure the nature of his termination or why he was terminated. He is considered a whistleblower. He comes out and he, discloses what's going on behind the government doors. Allegedly, there was donation solicitation going on to eliminate the county auditor position. In his original email, Trevor Sierra says, quote, "I regret my participation in these activities, the donation solicitation, and I offer my sincere apologies to the county auditor, Michelle Anderson, each of you, and most importantly, each of you, meaning the county board members, the taxpayers of Illinois, most importantly, the taxpayers of McLean County, the taxpayers of McLean County." So, Chad Burke, last week we talked, and, he suggested that the authorities not investigating Unit 5 school district a couple of years ago with the Unit 5 referendum, that emboldened government officials at the McLean County level to allegedly solicit donations for a PAC established to support the referendum to eliminate the county auditor position. He says, quote, Chuck Erickson, a then McLean County board member, had contacted the Illinois State Police, which should be a neutral party in this, uninvolved with the county. So they're a neutral party in the enforcement here. So this is where it gets tricky because nobody really knows who is supposed to be enforcing what. When you go to the state's attorney, they'll say, that's not really, it's out of our jurisdiction. When you go to the Illinois Attorney General, that's out of our jurisdiction. When you go to the Illinois State Board of Elections, everybody kind of hot potatoes it. And there's no really enforcement responsibility here when it comes to this crime. I mean, it is a Class B misdemeanor, and jail time is possible with this kind of stuff. So nobody really wants to investigate it. And every time these kind of situations pop up, it seems to be hot potatoed. So Burke said that he and Randy Knapp's campaign were at least indirectly affected. They were running against this referendum. They said, hey, vote no to eliminating the county auditor position. So to a degree, it did probably affect the campaign indirectly. If Chad Burke and Randy Knapp, they took the position of, no, let's not eliminate the county auditor position, but, your boss is telling you that you should eliminate the county auditor position, you're going to be like, okay, but my boss is against these individuals, Randy Knapp and Burke's position here on eliminating the county auditor, so maybe I shouldn't vote for that. Okay, so indirectly, if this were to have happened where they collected these donations, that would indirectly affect, I guess, Randy Knapp's campaign and Chad Burke's campaign. It's election interference, right? That's what this law is all about. It's about election interference. So Chad Burke says, how do I know where the money was used for? Was it used against my campaign? I urged a no vote to eliminate the county auditor. And this was a yes vote campaign. So obviously, at some level, it did go against my campaign as well as Randy Knapp's campaign. And, it's against ethics of the county board on top of the state code, on top of the, charter of the state board of elections. It's against that. So if it's hot potatoed, we've got a serious problem in this state. And, like I said, Champaign County resident John Bambenek, he lodged a similar complaint with the Illinois State Board of Elections, and they heard the case and they dismissed it due to lack of jurisdiction. So it just seems like there's just hot potatoing going on with these kinds of cases. I do have to take a quick break, but we're going to be back. I'm going to wrap up this story because there was another individual who launched a complaint. This just seems to be a problem here in Central Illinois. I don't know why that is, but it seems to be a problem in that there's multiple people who have filed complaints or have made official complaints about this sort of activity. So Dean Fletcher says, direct expenditures, staff time, or public facilities used for political advocacy is prohibited. In his email, he launched a complaint with the Regional Office of Education, and he said that, hey, the school district shouldn't have put a website up on their featured pages, on their taxpayer-funded pages, web pages, and they shouldn't have featured this website because it's promoting the passage of a specific sales tax. I'm going to be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Go ahead, smash that like button and share this out with your friends. In about 7 or so minutes, we're going to be talking with Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus, but I did want to bring this up because it's local stuff. McLean County resident Dean Fletcher, he has kind of lodged a complaint with multiple people here. We've got the Illinois State Board of Elections. He's lodged that complaint with them. Also, the School Board of Education. He's emailed a ton of people to try to get them to look at what's going on at these school district websites. Okay, so. Yeah, we all know Illinois is full of crooks. And that's like the crazy part about all of this is like your Michael Madigan behavior is it starts out as this. Okay, so Michael Madigan, I mean, racketeering, bribery, all of that. You scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of deal. And I mean, federal charges. I mean, he's launched, there was a federal investigation against this guy, indictments, okay? And it's a behemoth or a mammoth, okay, of corruption over here, but it starts out here. Okay, so these individuals who are doing or practicing activities that are in direct violation with the election code, and like this election code is there to strictly prohibit election interference. That's why the code exists, okay, because democracy and our elections are important. Okay, so when you have people undermining constantly those elections by breaking election code or violating election code, you're destroying our very fabric as a nation, our election system. Without that, we are nothing. Without elections, we are nothing. We are no different than a third world country. That's what sets America apart from anybody else. And if they're willing to do this, what else are they willing to do if they were to climb the ladder politically, if they were to become a state representative, if they were to become a state senator or U.S. senator or congressman? What are they willing to do? So go ahead and smash that like button. We're going to be back in just a moment. You're listening to Conservative Cat. Subscribe today. What's new, Cat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9 The News and Talk Bloomington Normal. Folks, Doge, they just uncovered this eye-popping millions of dollars that went to house illegal aliens in New York City, okay? From what I remember, the Biden administration, and I remember Karen Jean-Pierre, she was up there and she assured Americans that no FEMA funds were being diverted to illegals. Well, it just happened just this last week. Okay, so while President Donald Trump was president, they did this. Doge discovered FEMA sent $59 million last week to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal aliens. This violates, obviously, President Donald Trump's executive order. And, I remember when I was sounding the alarm about this months ago, where FEMA was diverting funds from natural disasters, and this was called a conspiracy theory. You're a conspiracy theorist, Cat. FEMA's not doing that. No, of course. I'm old enough to remember when this was called a conspiracy theory to say FEMA was diverted for illegal aliens. Doge just found it. They discovered FEMA sent $59 million just last week. According to the Post Millennial on Monday, Elon Musk said on X that the Department of Government Efficiency team discovered that Federal Emergency Management Agency paid out $59 million to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal immigrants. This comes as Doge has been looking through spending records of the government. Look, FEMA is intended to assist with natural disasters, okay? I'm having a hard time seeing how that has anything to do. That's what FEMA is supposed to do. Federal Emergency Management Agency, okay? They're supposed to be assisting with natural disasters. We've had a few of them, okay? The LA fires. We've also had the North Carolina, South Carolina, Hurricane Helene, that catastrophic event that happened there, catastrophic events. There were multiple hurricanes and storms. I don't see how any of this illegal immigrant stuff has to do with the natural disasters and what FEMA is intended to do, which is to assist in those natural disasters. According to Musk, the Doge team discovered that FEMA sent $59 million last week to luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal immigrants. Sending this money violates the law, and it's gross insubordination to President Donald Trump's executive order. That money was meant for American disaster relief, and instead it's been spent on high-end hotels for illegals. A clawback demand will be made today to recoup these funds. That's what Musk had said. Citizens have struggled with natural disasters, okay, under the Biden administration, and man-made disasters. East Palestine, Ohio, East Palestine, Ohio. I think that's what the city was where that train derailed. That was a man-made disaster, totally preventable. The LA fires, totally preventable. I believe it's a man-made disaster in that they don't do any land management or water management there. The least the bureaucracy could have done, FEMA could have done, was to use these funds correctly, okay? Use these funds correctly. Rather, they don't even really pretend to care. Okay, they don't pretend to care about the individuals in the Southeast. They don't pretend to care about LA and the Pacific Palisades citizens. They don't even pretend to care about those, and they are undermining. They are destroying America's stability as a country when they divert funds for things that are not supposed to be funded with that money. All right. We've got so much to get to. I wanted to give you that story just quickly. But right now, I'm very excited because guess who is the best in the tax and accounting businesses? That's Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus. He's the best in the biz, folks. And he knows all things taxes, accounting. He lives and breathes taxes. So he is here joining us here on Conservative Cat. Rick Johnson, good morning.
Good morning, Kat. Yes, Tax Tip Tuesday.
Yes. We're talking all kinds of things. I do want to start with, we're going to be talking about fraud involving credits. So
Yes.
That sounds like fun. I love talking about fraud. Notices from the IRS or state. So let's start with those two, and then we'll move on. But fraud involving credits. So is this people who, fraudulently try to get more credits than what they're supposed to be getting?
Yes. Yes, it's of course no one in your listening area would even think of doing that. So we're just going to let people know a little bit of
You
what's
do it
going
on
on.
accident. It gets confusing, and that's why you got to trust the experts at Tax and Accounting Plus. But yeah, how does this happen?
Okay. Well, remember last week, as you said, we talked about deductions and credits and how much better credits are than deductions. And we have more credits to talk about, just not today. Okay. Today, we're going to talk, like I said, about fraud. And a lot of the IRS started accepting returns this year on January 27th, and I would imagine there are many people that have not at this time received their refunds, and there's a reason for part of that. All right, due to the extreme, and we talked about fraud that's involved in the earned income tax credit, and also the the additional child tax credit. The IRS doesn't issue refunds right away. Back, let's see, they called it the Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes Act, or called PATH. Okay, and what happened is Congress passed a law that says, hey, IRS says you are not allowed to process any returns with these two credits in them until February 15th. Okay, so that's just when they can finish processing them. The IRS actually states that they probably will not be issuing refunds if at that time until the end of February, around the 28th, due to this PATH Act. All right. They're trying to catch fraud. The IRS was processing them too quickly. Too much fraud was getting through, and that's why they passed the PATH Act. So, and then you came into the next one, which was which one? Which one did you want, Kat? Okay, we'll go. I can't hear you right now, so
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
notices from the IRS and from the state. So what notices?
Okay, everybody, and this is the IRS's kind of favorite little toy to do. And I know this kind of sounds like we're going to beat up a little bit on the IRS today, but I really enjoy doing that.
Love it.
But believe it or not, when you get a notice from the IRS, people take it. It's like a little scare tactic. They take it and it's like, oh, what am I going to do? And if it says that they may owe a little money, they just send it in without question. And that's not necessarily the case. Most of the returns or these notices that come to the IRS or come from the IRS are not correct. They're a lot of them are automated, and the computer program sees something that's not quite right, so they want to follow up with some additional information or a question. Okay, so by all means, take your time, read through the entire letter or notice that you get, and then just don't pay it, contact someone, Tax Accounting Plus, anyone else that that is up on the tax laws and changes, and understand what it is that you need to do to make them happy. And usually that's just a letter explaining something or answering a short question that they have, and then everything's fine and that bill goes away. So take the time to do that, because the IRS is not always right.
Yeah, you're telling me. There was a commercial, and I honestly don't know. Oh, it was a political commercial, I believe. But I think about it all the time when I hear IRS agents, and they come into this house, and then they start looking in your couch, or they start looking like under your couch, or like everywhere for like these little coins. Like you know how like if you fall asleep on the couch, you got coins in your pocket, they'll fall in there. So they start ripping the couch apart, trying to find all this spare change laying around your house. I think about that every time I think about the IRS. Be careful when asking the IRS. So, when we ask the IRS questions, what is that topic that we're supposed to be hitting today? Being careful when we ask the IRS.
Again, with the IRS, they're expanding. They're getting more people trained, but again, some of this training might be, a few weeks before you're talking to someone on the phone. And if you call up the IRS to ask them a question about maybe a tax law, or maybe about filing a return, or you're having a problem with a form or something like that, you'll call up and ask, and they have these assistance programs and to help. But again, these people are not very knowledgeable. Again, not trying to beat up the IRS, but yeah. Okay. Anyway, so be careful because excuse me, the Treasury Inspector General's office. They go around and do these little audits, and they like, little secret shoppers. They will call the IRS call line and pretend to be a taxpayer and ask them questions and see how well they do. And most of them, over 40% of the time when they did this, that the IRS was wrong in the answer that they gave. So that's what I'm saying. Just be careful. Again, do your own due diligence as much as you can and ask someone who knows.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, you. The experts at Tax and Accounting Plus. Volunteer preparers, VITA. So what is that? Volunteer preparers?
Yeah, it's called the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, or VITA program. It's been going on for many, many years. And these people that do this, again, are volunteers. They want to help out. And most of them are easy type returns. But even though that they're doing easy type returns, and to be honest with you, I think the elderly and such tend to go to these VITA sites a lot. And even though the returns are basic in nature, according to the reports by the Treasury Inspector General's office, over 60% of the tax return prepared by the VITA program were inaccurate when they ran their tests. So, and nothing against these people. They're trying to volunteer and be helping, do the best they can. But again, it's you got to be careful if you don't want to get involved or wrapped up in a bunch of notices coming from the IRS because you forgot some income or didn't report it properly, things of that nature. So.
Yeah, I could definitely see where that starts to become a real big problem. Trust the experts. That's what I always say. Tax and Accounting Plus, they're the experts, folks. Avoid Social Security number problems. So when will your Social Security number become a problem? Uh-oh.
Well, it's not so much that in itself is a problem, but it's the fact that not having one is a problem, or not having one that matches. And this is what happens. And you're a little familiar with this because you recently have been
Changed my
married.
name.
Yeah, you changed your name. And a lot of people getting married, they change their name, and they have to take care of that with the Social Security office. Because when you file your tax return, a lot of people don't know, they have a database with the Social Security office, and they compare what you send into the IRS with what the Social Security office has on their in their database to make sure the names and the Social Security numbers match. If they don't, they'll reject the return. And this also happens with new children. Okay, when you're in the hospital and having a child, they will give you some information so you can get that filled out and you can send off for your Social Security number. Because
For deductions, yeah, child deduct, because you can deduct. Interesting. Or child credits, child tax credits.
Yeah, EIC and just the whole return. With that, they'll just reject the whole thing. And the IRS in itself, if there's not a Social Security number on there, or a lot of times it used to be back in the day where you could just put applied for or something like that. And that's no more. You have to have a Social Security number for each individual on the tax return that matches their name, or they're rejected. So save yourself some hassle and save yourself some time. If even now, if you don't have your Social Security number for a child, go ahead and go to the Social Security office, apply for the Social Security card for your child, or change for your name, and believe it or not, they're pretty quick about it. It takes about 7 to 10 days to come back, and you'll have a number available, and they will get that matched up with the IRS's database at that point in time, and you should be fine.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I went to the Social Security office, to change my name, and I didn't interact with anybody. I just went to the office and used a kiosk. So they had like a computer that I used, and I was like, "Well, I drove all the way out here and I used a computer. Why couldn't I just do this at home?" But they had a kiosk, like a self-serve kiosk, and I just did it all myself, which was really interesting. So, Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus, how do we find out more about you? And can you tell us, just give us a little bit about Tax and Accounting Plus? Tell us what you guys do over there.
Okay, thanks, Kat. We are a full-service tax one-stop shop. We do all taxes. We prepare, except, believe it or not, we do not do or deal with, because we don't have that much in the central cornfields of Illinois. We don't do foreign returns, okay? Returns where people have like dual citizenship or different things like that. It's just a whole different ball of wax on that one. But we do full bookkeeping and payroll service. We prepare all returns. We help people incorporate their businesses and help them to choose what type of business to incorporate in, to whether you're going to be an LLC, a corporation, S corp. We do nonprofits. We actually, believe it or not, have a separate nonprofit division where we have people, that's all they do each and every day, and it's been a good thing, to expand into that. We will help you out in some business planning and whatever we can do. And one of the things that I think separates us from, and I know my staff really hates it when I say this, but is that we answer questions. We're not afraid. You don't have to be our client to call up and ask a question. We will answer your question to the best of our ability. And the big thing is I help teach all of them. If you don't know, no guessing. Be straight up with the person, the client. Said, hey, if you're not sure, then you say, I'll look it up and I'll get back to you. And but we are located at 501 North Clinton in Bloomington here, 501 North Clinton, and www.taxaccountingplus.com. And our phone number is 309-827-4010.
Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus. Thank you so much. And folks, if you have a question, it might just get answered on next week's Tax Tip Tuesday. So thanks so much, Rick Johnson, for joining me.
Thank you, Kat.
All right. Folks, we're going to be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. All right. Good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Smash that like button. We are going to be coming back. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that $59 million I was telling you about with Doge. They uncovered this, that Federal Emergency Management Agency had paid $59 million for luxury hotels in New York City to house illegal immigrants just last week. Now, that was in direct violation or subordination. They were insubordinate with President Donald Trump's executive order here. Okay, so like I said, American citizens, they have struggled with natural and man-made disasters. East Palestine, Ohio, you guys remember the train derailment. Also, the LA fires to a degree, I think that was man-made, right, where they weren't doing land management. They pretty much created a little Kindle box out of LA, and they are not correctly managing the funds. Okay, so they would rather not even pretend to care as they continue to do everything in their power to undermine American stability. It is incredibly important that we, when disaster strikes, help each other. Okay. If anything, I think our tax dollars, I've always said this, our basic public safety and basic infrastructure. Okay, so our roads, all of the roads in Hurricane Helene were wiped out. Literal chunks of roads were floating down the mountains there. And we, as taxpayers, I think that we can all agree that basic infrastructure and public safety are basic or things that our tax dollars should be going towards. So when disaster strikes, I think it's very important our tax dollars go there and aren't diverted towards things that should be outside of the government's control, or should be not any part of the government. The government should not be subsidizing illegal immigrants to be housed at luxury hotels. Okay. I do want to talk a little bit more about so the government decided to use disaster relief to fund the criminal alien invasion. And, I wish I could say that, hey, this is government incompetence, but there was a clear executive order that said you can't do this kind of stuff. You can't divert funds. You can't house illegal immigrants. This is in direct violation of Trump's order. So I don't really want to chalk it up to incompetence. Really, I think that they are condoning the illegal immigration invasion. So this is FEMA working out from under Donald Trump right now, and this is the transitionary period where you've got not enough people who have been fired or let go or replaced under the Trump administration in these government agencies. So we're going to be right back talking a little bit about that. Smash that like button and share this out with your friends. hey, you're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Look, folks, there is a winter storm watch. There's a winter storm watch. So you are going to want to be careful out there. Now, when is all this supposed to be happening? Well, Wednesday morning through late Wednesday night. Okay, so this is probably going to impact, I'd say, your Wednesday evening commute. So after work on Wednesday. So heavy snow possible, 40 to 60% chance of seeing 6 inches of snow. We're talking portions of central and west central Illinois, mainly northwest of I-55. So be careful out there and check out cities929.com for your winter weather updates, along with some school and business closings. We'll have those posted if those happen. Right now, I haven't seen anything close. So if you want to report a closing, you're welcome to do so at cities929.com as well. There's a form you can fill out. Also, Steals and Deals, you're going to want to check it out on cities929.com. We have just in a couple of days, folks, this is going to be gone. Okay, our Valentine's Day packages. We've got a dozen roses. They come in a nice little vase, gentlemen. You're going to want to buy this for the ladies, okay? A dozen roses in a vase. And you've got a $20 gift certificate to either Brass Pig, Texas Roadhouse. We've got it on our Steals and Deals website, so check that out and get the Valentine's Day, because that's only in like 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. No, 3 days. 3 days. Valentine's Day is Friday, so you're going to want to check that out on Steals and Deals. It's on cities929.com. Now, before I took the break, I was telling you a little bit about Dean Fletcher. Dean Fletcher, he, like most residents, sounds like he's pretty confused about, where this enforcement responsibility is. The buck has to stop with somebody when it comes to enforcing election code. Okay, public funds cannot be used, public facilities, public websites cannot be used to promote or oppose a referendum or candidate for public office. Now, the law, according to McLean County resident Dean Fletcher, says direct expenditures, staff time, and use of public facilities or for political advocacy is prohibited. And he says, look, I know there's prosecution like discretion, like the prosecution can use their discretion, and I get that there's that. But the buck has to stop with somebody. Somebody's got to say, look, I'm going to be the one to stand up for the voters. I'm going to stand up for democracy, and I'm going to stand up for the rule of law. Fletcher is calling on state officials to clarify the agency tasked with enforcing the law after several Illinois school districts now, school districts, they are featuring this referendum advocacy website. Now, I call it an advocacy website because it is urging voters to approve the referendum. So it is advocating specifically for you to vote yes for this referendum. It's a sales tax. It's an additional sales tax. We talked about the sales tax at length last week. You can go check out the archived videos. It's going to cost you quite a bit of money, considering that there's multiple tax hikes in the kitchen, like on the stovetop. We're getting ready for multiple sales tax hikes. Local sales tax hike, groceries tax, local grocery tax being implemented in 2026 possibly. So Fletcher says, it's a sad state of affairs when random public citizens and voters have to be the ones to hold these people accountable. But I think there has to be some sort of web portal to submit complaints when we see electioneering. A lot of people might say it's a victimless crime. It's not a victimless crime. The victim here is democracy and our election system. There does potentially need to be a task force, this is what Fletcher says, at a state level, allowing for some sort of government website where people can report these issues, of electioneering, illegal electioneering going on at the behalf of the government, where they're promoting certain candidates or certain referendums or ballot initiatives. People are seeing these things, and they're getting the evidence for this kind of stuff going on in our community, and somebody needs to be held accountable. I'll be right back. You're listening to Conservative Cat on Cities 92.9. Woo! Hey, good morning. You're listening to Conservative Cat. And yes, there is a winter storm watch in effect. You guys are going to want to check out cities929.com. Looks like we could get possibly 6 inches, 40 to 60% chance of 6 inches. So check it out. Closing cancellations and delays will all be posted right there on cities929.com. That's going to do it for our show today. You guys are going to want to tune in tomorrow morning, bright and early, starting at 6 o'clock. Today, we talked about Kamala Harris refusing to rule out a run for governor of California. We talked about morbidly obese influencers calling for supporters to protest at the Seattle airport because this morbidly obese influencer was told, hey, we can't push you around in a wheelchair because you're too large. I can't do it. We also talked about a furry convention in Scotland today, or that is going on this weekend. You guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye. Love you. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Catch you later.